Here's an interview from one of our past shows on Rock and Metal Revival. If you're interested in hearing full shows, go to our Facebook page and check out our list of affiliates for times and places where you can hear Rock and Metal Revival. There is new music from Ricky Warwick. It is the first single from his new release called Fighting Heart. Now, the album is called When Life Was Hard and Fast, and we want to welcome back to Rock and Metal Revival, Ricky Warwick. Thanks for coming back to the show, Ricky.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's good to be on the show. Thank you.
It's great to have you back, and it's great to hear some new music. I tell you what, as we all know, 2020 pretty much sucked. It wasn't a normal year for anybody. Is this project majority from 2020, being at home, being off the road, or was this thing already in the works before everything got shut down?
This was done and dusted long before this horrible pandemic was even coming around the corner. We finished recording this record in April of 2019. So, I've been sitting on the record for almost 2 years. I'm just really pleased it's coming out. So the pandemic really didn't affect the recording of it in any way whatsoever.
Well, now that's great. I mean, I know a lot of people, artists being off the road, took a lot of time to actually sit down and write. Were you thinking about, Ricky, do I redo some of this stuff, or were you pretty set? I really like this album, and I want the people to hear it the way it was recorded in 2019.
Sure. No, it was. I mean, nothing really changed. The album, we always planned to release the album at the beginning of 2021 because I play in the other band, Black Star Riders, that some of your listeners may be aware of. And we were due to be touring all of 2020. We sort of blocked that whole year out to tour because we just put an album out at the end of 2019. And obviously because of the pandemic, those touring plans just got cancelled. But I'm very much when I make a record, I'm pretty good at walking away from it because I'm a firm believer that you're capturing a moment. And you're capturing where your head's at and where you're at that moment in time. So I don't like tinkering with stuff too much. Obviously, if it's something that really annoys me, or I'm like, oh my God, that was a huge mistake, or I could have done that better, then I'll go and fix it. But genuinely, once it's done, I'm pretty good at walking away from it and going, that was a great time. It's a great record. Move on,
Exactly. Now, like I told you before we went on the air, I've listened through the entire release, and I love this album. And it sounds like you put a pretty great band together for this project. Can you tell us a little bit about who's working with you on this album?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a killer band. The album is co-produced and mostly co-written by, obviously, myself and Keith Nelson. People will be aware of Keith Nelson from his days in Buckcherry. Keith's a great guitar player and a great guy. So Keith produced the record with me. We did it at his studio. And in the band actually used to record it, we had Xavier Muriel, who was also in Buckcherry on drums, and then Robbie Crane, who's the bass player in Black Star Riders. So for all intents and purposes, you had Buck Star Riders was the band. And I had I've got some great special guests on the record. I got Joe Elliott from Def Leppard, Andy Taylor from Duran Duran Power Station, on there, Dizzy Reed from Guns N' Roses, and Luke Morley from the UK band Thunder. So very honored to have those people on the record.
Well, and I even saw that you had your daughter on the album. That had to be kind of cool having her on there.
Thank you. She's the most special guest of all. Yeah, that was amazing. There's a song called Time Don't Seem to Matter that I wrote about her and being away from her when we're on the road, and her having to grow up with me doing what I do, and how well she deals with it. And she's a great little musician. She's already playing guitar and violin and keyboards and singing. And I was like, hey, kiddo, this song's about you. You need to sing on it, So she came down to the studio and hung out with me and Keith for the day, and we had a really great old time. And I'm just really so honored and proud to have her on there. Really proud of that moment,
That's awesome. And now, Ricky, when you were thinking about putting this out, were you thinking about touring with your band, doing a solo tour, or were you just thinking put this out and maybe do some smaller gigs or locally?
Both. I was planning to be on the road most of 2021 promoting the record. Obviously, we're still, in quite a big state of flux with regards to the pandemic and where we're at. So I can't see anything maybe happening until towards the end of the year, but I still really want to go out and play the heck out of this record, and I will do that even if it's later this year. Or if we go into 2022, I definitely have plans to tour in the States and over in Europe.
Well, I also saw that you really embrace live streaming, and how was that for you? Mm-hmm. I mean, how is that playing? I mean, when as a performer, you really take energy off the crowd. How is it doing the streaming shows?
It's been good. A little bit of trepidation when it first started. I kind of sat back and watched other artists, the first couple of months, and sort of watched their shows and learned a lot from that. And, I found a really good platform to do mine on it, a platform called Stage It, which I think works really well. You can sell tickets up front. I treat it like a normal show. I rehearse just as hard as I would if I was doing a full-on live show. You can engage with the fans, on it. And it's been a godsend, to be honest with you. It's not ideal. Nothing can ever replace a real thing, but it's certainly helped me, and the reaction I've had to it has been phenomenal. I think I've done 7 now over the last year, and it's something I might even keep doing, now and again. Even when we get back to some sense of normality, I might just keep doing it, the odd time. It's been fun.
Well, now you've been doing the acoustic thing for quite a while, haven't you?
Yeah,
a
long time.
Now I read an article one time that you actually opened for Def Leppard doing acoustic. How do you go out in front of a Leppard crowd and play the acoustic guitar?
Right. No, I opened for them for over a year. I mean, I did a year's worth of touring, all over the States and in Europe, opening for Def Leppard, just me and the acoustic guitar. Yeah, that was an experience. It was wonderful. I mean, they were so good to me. They treated me so well. But, walking out on that stage, that huge stage in the arena, just armed acoustic guitar. I mean, you walk out, you can hear the crowd groan. As I would, they're like, oh, my God, it's some singer-songwriter sort of, feel my pain, woe is me. And, and these people are there to rock. But, if you see me play live, I beat the hell out of the guitar. It's a full-energy show. I play standing up like my life depends upon it. There's tons of attitude, and it seemed to work. It seemed to go down really well. The fact that I ended up going on the road with them for a year, I think, answered that question. But I remember the first show was, I'll just tell you quickly, it was Mandalay Bay in Las Vegas, in the arena, and I just started doing the acoustic solo thing. I played maybe 4 or 5 small clubs prior to that, and here I am, walking out in front of 10, 12,000 rabid Def Leppard fans, and I just remember walking out on that huge stage, and I remember feeling that I was shrinking. And all I could think about was like, I'm going to shrink so much by the time I get to the microphone, I'll not be able to reach the microphone, from some stupid reason. I did the whole first show with my eyes closed, I had no idea how I went down the reaction, and came off, and Def Leppard's tour manager pulled me aside and said, that seemed to go okay. And I went, I'm just happy I got through it. But it was a wonderful experience.
Well, for as a performer, Ricky, I know 2020 had to be unbelievably hard for you, because I know we talked to a lot of them here on Rock and Metal Revival.
Sure.
So through the pandemic, not being on the road, what did Ricky do? You said this album was done in 2019. Did you write songs?
Yeah.
Did you just spend more time with family? What was up?
Yeah, all of that. A lot of time with the family. It's nice to have that unbroken time and be home. It's just the longest, my family's ever had me around, and they seem to still like me, so that's okay. But yeah, I wrote loads of, the next Black Star Riders album was written, and it's been demoed. The next solo album's been written, and I've already done some demos with Keith Nelson for my next solo record. I read a lot, watched a lot of movies, just spent time with the family. And it's actually, look, it's not been the worst year. I'm lucky, we got a roof over our heads, there's food in the fridge, and we're all healthy and we're all well, and we're blessed because of it, for that. There's a lot of people are really suffering, and we're one of the lucky ones, so I'm not taking that for granted. And it's been okay, it's been okay. As long as everybody's healthy and happy, I'm happy,
Amen to that. Now, I got to ask, because I'm a huge Thin Lizzy Black Star Rider fan. Is there any activity coming up with either one of those bands in 2021?
Absolutely. Like I said, Black Star Riders, we're hoping to get in and record the next record in the summer if we can all safely get together in the studio. That's the plan. So that record will be Black Star Riders record. And then talking to Scott just last night, Scott Gorham, I think there may be some Lizzy shows in 2022 as well, which would be amazing. I'm always down for singing those amazing songs.
I got to say, when they were talking about Thin Lizzy coming back out on the road, as a Thin Lizzy fan from back in the day with Phil, I'm like, I would not want to be the guy that has to stand in front of that band.
Right?
But you, my friend, tore it up. You have done an outstanding job. What is that kind of... you can tell you were a Phil fan. You know what I mean? But what is it like being out? Were they a big? I could tell they were a big influence on you in your younger days.
Being from Belfast and being Irish, and growing up in the sort of 70s and 80s, Lizzy were our band. they were Irish. You know, two of the guys that been in the band were from Belfast, my hometown, and they belonged to us. And the fact that they were just so incredible, and Phil was just such an iconic, legendary rock and roll frontman. I love them. They were a soundtrack of my youth, and they've become the soundtrack of my life. I mean, I was obsessed with them as a kid, and they still are. You know, as a fan, even though I've had the honor and privilege of singing those songs now, it hasn't changed the way I feel about the band. I can still put Lizzy on because Phil's the lead singer of Thin Lizzy, always will be. I'm not the lead singer. Phil Lynott's the lead singer of Thin Lizzy. All I've been given is a huge honor of looking after those songs and keeping those songs alive for him and turning people onto the band. And that's how I look at it. And it's just the greatest. I mean, it's like winning the lottery. When you're a kid, you dream of singing for your favorite band, and that dream came true for me. And it's mind blowing. It's so surreal. It's so surreal.
That is outstanding. Well, the album is called "When Life Was Hard and Fast." Any significance behind that? I know it's one of the songs on the album, but
sure.
What is it?
I think it's just harking back to me and my mates growing up in Belfast, playing on the streets, pre-internet, pre-cell phones, where you got to sort of get kicked out when the sun came up, and you had bloody noses and skin knees, and you got into trouble and fights, and we just always seemed to be on the move and playing. And I think it's about our dreams and aspirations when we were kids. We wanted to be soccer players, we wanted to be in bands, and it's just writing about those times. And then moving forward now and thinking, okay, well, you know, for a lot of us, our dreams came true, and sadly for a lot of other people, they didn't, you know. And it's just really trying to surmise all that up, you know.
I bet. And I can tell you one thing from listening to the whole album. I can say that this album is outstanding, and everybody needs to get a copy. It gets released on February 19th. It'll come out, and Ricky, we hope to see you out on the road in 2021. We'd love to see you, and we're going to play another track off that album called "You Don't Love Me." Anything you want to tell us about this track?
Yeah, great guitar solo on this from Luke Morley of the UK hard rock band Thunder. If you guys don't know that, you should check out Thunder. He plays a blistering guitar solo on this, and it's just a full-on in-your-face anthemic rock and roll song. Enjoy it. Thank you.
You bet, Ricky Warwick. You are always welcome back here on Rock and Metal Revival.
Thank you so much, and thanks for all your support, guys. Really appreciate it.